Hello, here we are again. Today, we'll deal with the last unit in your program, feelings and emotions. In today's session, we'll see together vocabulary and grammar. As usual, we start with vocabulary. Hello, Mrs. Benkhilil.
Hello, Mr. Dahmas. Hello, everybody.
Which activity have you prepared to revise vocabulary?
Today, again, we are going to see how to match words and their definitions.
Great.
Right. Before we start doing the activity, let's first read the sentences together and pay attention to the underlined words or expressions, because this time we have words and expressions, right? Okay, let's start. First sentence. American people are extrovert. They believe that it is better to express feelings rather than hide them. However, British people are introvert. They like to keep a stiff upper lip. In other words, they don't like showing or talking about their feelings. They prefer to bottle their emotions up inside. Right? I hope you paid attention to the words that are underlined. Let's read them together in the table and match them with their definitions. Right? The first one, to bottle up one's emotions. B, extrovert. C, to keep a stiff upper lip. And the last one, introvert. As usual, we have to pay attention to the category of words. Two expressions, A and C, start with a verb. The two other words are adjectives, extrovert and introvert. Let's read the definitions together and see which definitions start with verbs, to match them with the expressions that start with verbs, and which ones deal with adjectives. Right, let's read them. Being lively and confident persons who enjoy the company of others. To hide, not to show one's emotions. Being more interested in one's own thoughts and feelings. To keep calm and hide one's feelings when in pain or in difficult situations. As you can see, definitions 2 and 4 start with verbs. So, is it easy to match? Let's correct. The first one, to bottle up one's emotions, yes, it means to hide, not to show one's emotions. And the second definition, extrovert, means being lively and confident persons who enjoy the company of others. What about the two other definitions? Can you match them? Let's correct. To keep a stiff upper lip means to keep calm and hide one's feelings when in pain or in a difficult situation. And introvert means being more interested in one's own thoughts and feelings. Good. The first part of our course is finished, Mr. Dahmas.
Thank you, Mrs. Benkhilil.
You're welcome.
The second and last part of our course today deals with grammar. We will revise together the reported speech. This will require more attention from your part, since there are many changes that occur when coming to transform a sentence from direct to indirect speech. Let's start.
Okay. Right, let's consider the two examples that we have on the board. The first sentence, sentence A. The sense of humor is linked with national characteristics, John Doe says. B. John Doe says that the sense of humor is linked with national characteristics. Sentence 2. The sense of humor is linked with national characteristics, John Doe said. John Doe said that the sense of humor was linked with national characteristics. Compare sentences B with sentences A, 1 and 2. What do you notice? Good. In sentence B, the speech marks are suppressed. Right. And what next? Okay. The verb tense in sentence B didn't change, whereas the verb tense in sentence 2B changed. Why? Have a look at the reporting verb in 1B and 2B. What do you notice? Good. In the first sentence, in 1B, the reporting verb is in the present, says. Whereas in the second sentence, in 2B, the reporting verb is in the past. So what conclusion can you draw? Right? Fill in the gaps in the next two sentences to get the rule. Are you ready? Okay, let's do it. When the reporting verb is in the present, what happens? The verb tense in the reported statement doesn't change. When the reporting verb is in the past, the verb tense changes. Let's read together the sentences that are in the table to see what changes happen to the verb tense, of course, when the reporting verb is in the past. You will hear Mr. Dahmas read the sentences in the direct speech. And, of course, we will read together the sentences in the reported speech. Are you ready? Okay, let's start.
I often write comedies, he said. What did he say?
He said that he often wrote comedies. What tense is the verb? Good. Past simple.
I'm writing comedies now, he said.
He said that he was writing comedies then. What tense is the verb? Past continuous this time. Right. Third sentence.
I have already written comedies, he said.
He said that he had already written comedies. The verb this time is in the past perfect. Right.
I wrote a comedy last year, he said.
He said that he had written comedy last year. The previous year, sorry. Again, the past simple has been changed into past perfect.
Share your feelings, he advised me.
He advised me to share my feelings. So the imperative has turned into infinitive, right, in the negative form. Now?
Don't laugh at me, he told me.
He told me not to laugh at him. Pay attention. Not comes before to. Not to laugh. Next sentence.
I can write comedies, he said.
He said that he could write comedies. Now the modal can has been transformed into could, right.
I will write a comedy next year, he said.
He said that he would write a comedy the following year. And now will becomes would. Good.
I must write a comedy quickly, he said.
This time, he said that he had to write a comedy quickly. You notice that the modal must is changed into had to. Remember that must is a synonym of have to. So in the reported speech, must becomes had to. Last one.
I may finish writing this comedy next year, he said.
He said that he might finish writing this comedy the following year. May has become might. Let's sum up the different changes in tenses. In direct speech and then in indirect speech, right? Present becomes past simple, present perfect, past perfect. The present continuous changes into past continuous, the past simple into past perfect, and the imperative into infinitive. Now, as far as modals are concerned, will becomes would, can becomes could, may becomes might, and must becomes had to. Right, that was all for the changes in tenses, of course. But of course, there are other changes that occur in the pronouns, either subject or object, in the possessive adjectives, in the time markers, and now we are going to reread the sentences together and see other changes, right? Let's reread the sentences. In the first sentence, I often write comedies has become, he said that he often wrote comedies because John Doe is speaking. He said, in the second sentence, I'm writing comedies now. This time, the time marker now has become then. Next sentence, well, we just have the I, which has become he again. Sentence 4, I wrote a comedy last year, and this time again, I has become he, and last year, the time marker has become the previous year. In the next sentence, there is no change except the your feelings, share your feelings, he advised me. Here he's talking to me. So this is why share your feelings has become, he advised me to share my feelings. Let's suppose that he's talking to a girl and say, share your feelings. So we say, he advised her to share her feelings, right? So pay attention, you and your depends can change in according to the situation. Pay attention. Don't laugh at me, he told me. He told me not to laugh at him. Again, it can be, he told him, he told her not to laugh at her. Pay attention. I can write comedies. He could write comedies. I will write a comedy next year, and the time marker next year is changed into the following year. I must write a comedy quickly. Now I becomes he. I may finish writing this comedy next year, and again, the time marker next year becomes the following year. You have all these changes in the table which recapitulate. You can see them now in the table, right? So I becomes he or she, depends if it's a girl speaking. Me becomes him or her. Your can become my, and I told you it depends on the situation. Now becomes then. Ago becomes before. Yesterday, the previous day or the day before. Last year, the previous year or the year before. Tomorrow, time marker indicating the future. The following day or the day after. And next year, the following year or the year after. Good. That was the end of the first part of our lesson, Mr. Dahmas.
Thank you, Mrs. Ben Khalil.
You're welcome.
Notice that there are other changes that may occur when coming to transform a sentence from direct into indirect speech. There are changes, for example, in the demonstrative pronouns, this in the singular and these in the plural. Example, he said, I like this movie. He said that he liked that movie. The second example, he said, I have drawn these pictures. He said that he had drawn those pictures. So notice that this has turned into that and these into those. You may also have a change in the place adverbial. Here, which turns into there. He said, I enjoy being here. He said that he enjoyed being there. Have you understood?
Mr. Dahmas has just asked you a question. Now we are going to see how to report questions. Consider the following yes-no question and then fill in the gaps to get the structure of a reported yes-no question. The question is, in the direct form, do you find comedies based on tragic situations funny? The journalist asked. The journalist asks if or whether he found comedies based on tragic situations funny. So as you notice, the reporting sentence is composed of the reporting verb, then if or whether, followed by the subject, the verb, and the rest of the sentence. And in the end, we have a full stop. What changes do you notice from sentence A to B? Yes, we have added if or whether after the reporting verb asked. Good. Second change. The interrogative sentence has turned into a statement. So, the auxiliary do is suppressed. And the third change, the question mark is replaced by a full stop. Good. So this was for yes-no questions. How do we report WH questions? Let's have an example. What is sick humor? The journalist asked. The journalist wanted to know what sick humor was. Let's get the structure together. The reporting verb plus the WH word plus the subject plus the verb and a full stop. What changes did you notice this time? Let's see together. Right. The first change is that we have kept the question word what. The interrogative sentence has turned into a statement. So, what changes do you notice? This time the question was with an inversion, so we made again an inversion between the subject and the verb. And finally, the question mark is replaced by a full stop. Good. Let's practice now. Rewrite sentence B so that it means the same as A. First one, do you like comedies? I asked her. I asked her. Notice that this is an yes-no question. Second one, why do you look upset? Sorry, why did you look upset yesterday? His friend asked him. His friend asked him. Sentence 3, humor can lengthen life, he said. He said that. Sentence 4, comedy teaches us moral laws, John Doe declares. John Doe declares that. The last one, have you already seen Charlie Chaplin's comedy? The teacher asked the pupils. The teacher asked the pupils. Right. Let's start doing the exercise, and sentence by sentence. The first one. Do you like comedy? I asked her. I asked her if she liked comedies. Right, good. Now, do you notice that we suppressed do? We changes the you into she because he is addressing a girl this time. And of course, the verb was in the present. It became past simple. Second sentence. Why did you look upset yesterday? He asked, his friend asked him, sorry. His friend asked him why he had looked upset the day before. Well, of course, we can say the previous day also. Sentence 3, humor can lengthen life, he said. He said that humor could lengthen life. This time, the modal can becomes could. Sentence 4, comedy teaches us moral laws, John Doe declares. Pay attention. The reporting verb is in the present this time. So John Doe declares that comedy teaches us moral law. We do not change the verb tense. Good. And the last one is a question. Have you already seen a Charlie Chaplin's comedy? The teacher asked the pupils. So she is addressing a group now. The teacher asked the pupils whether or if they had already seen a Charlie Chaplin's comedy. This time, we have changed the word order and we transformed the question into statement. Well done. That was the end of our practice, Mr. Dahmas.
Thank you, Mrs. Ben Khalil.
You're welcome.
I hope that what you have learned today will be of some help. Next time, we'll deal with a back paper sample, and we will focus on comprehension and written expression. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.
Goodbye.